Questions at kicker emerge already in fall camp for Nebraska.
Oh boy.
Tristan Alvano not on the 120 as he's recovering from surgery on his groin. And now, what we don't know is when he'll be back. But I've talked to a lot of people. There doesn't seem to be internally as much of a concern as there might be externally. And I think we are kind of battered veterans here because since 2018, what's Nebraska done? They've lost a lot of one-score games. Missed field goals and inconsistencies in the kicking game have been a big reason why. Mm-hmm. And here we go in a big year where Nebraska has a chance to break through as a program. Right. There's questions at a position that could be a big factor this year.
Yeah. And it's okay to frame it up that way because it's okay to frame it up that way because of just the timing. Today is August 2nd or August 1st. We found out on July 30th or July 31st, whatever it was. We found out a month before. It's a month before the opener. And as you point out, Sean, Alvano's not part of the 120. Now that alone says, what? Keep an eye on this. Yeah, it's not something I would say you panic over, but I wouldn't be that far from that. If I was a Nebraska fan, it would help me if they had a kicker on the roster who was kicked in a Division I game, which they don't. Nico Ottamanelli from Harrington.
True freshman, highly regarded, and then John Hull, who kicked for Iowa Western.
Did he kick for Iowa Western? Did he get in a game?
I don't know.
No, he didn't get in a game. I don't think he did. So
it's high school, but he was going to start for the Reavers this year.
Right. And he can kick. Don't get me wrong. Sean, they're not going to – now, you wouldn't think a school like Nebraska would bring a kid in who can't kick field.
Well, he got offered a full ride to Coastal Carolina.
Mm-hmm. And there's no doubt that if we walked over to the field today and watched them kick, we'd say, oh, they can kick. The question is, again, if the game against UTEP, they need a field goal to win it from 42 yards with 7 seconds left. Can he kick that? That's what come on. You walk over there and Ottamanelli's going to wow you with probably, right? I don't care about that. Of course they can kick. They're Division I kickers. But can they do it with pressure on them?
And we've been there, done that, and lived through 2019 when Barrett Pickering injured himself golfing. He took up the sport of golf in the summer and basically suffered an injury that he couldn't get over. And so they lost him.
You are artistic in bringing up things that make my stomach hurt. That was a horrible thing.
They go into overtime in Colorado. They blew a 17-0 lead, and that's a whole nother discussion. And then it becomes kind of a kicking competition at that point.
Yeah.
They have Isaac Armstrong, who was a punter, having to kick long, and it was like a 40-some yard field goal in overtime, and it didn't even come close. Then they have Lane McCollum have to make a field goal to beat Northwestern in an ugly game that Nebraska easily could have won by more. And Lane McCollum had a bad leg. He barely got the ball off the ground.
That's right. He did.
And then they had to go to Lead Belly.
Right.
And find a waiter to kick for him that year. Right. I mean, that's what you fear. Then they had another guy that they brought on that his dad was the labor and delivery doctor for one of the coaches. And this kid kicked, and they brought him on the roster. Right. I don't even remember his name.
I understand.
But like that was
the picture, Sean.
That was a nightmare.
Yeah. Now I'm not, and you're not, and I'm not suggesting we have that kind of thing on our hands. Maybe Alvano will be fine. I'd feel more comfortable if he was part of the 120-man roster. He can kick field goals right now, according to Ed Foley, but he can't kick off. So it's not like there's nothing here. I mean, he can't. If they needed him to kick off the ball today, he couldn't do it. So yeah, that's a concern. Rule said that he's recovered but not full go. So I don't know what that means exactly. So he's not fully recovered.
Well, and to put him on the 120, somebody else has to be hurt to like add a new player back.
Now, Sean, here's a question for you. You're a veteran. I am too. You seem to know this kind of stuff better than I do. Can you sort of invent an injury?
Yeah, soft tissues.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be guys that inevitably have hammies and ankles and whatnot.
You could use that.
You can't just remove a guy for no reason. Like it has to be a replacement for an injury.
And the other part of Alvano is he was inconsistent last year, but came on. I mean, he came on and finished the year well. So you thought, okay, problem solved largely. And then the spring game happened. In the spring game, he missed two field goals that were makeable. And that you just didn't know what to think.
And they were bad misses.
Thank you, Sean. They were bad misses.
I mean, it looked at like me swinging at Topgolf on Saturday night. I was
what'd that look like?
Well,
how would you just characterize?
You know, the beauty about
golf
Topgolf is you can have a driver out and not hit it right and still score points. You can't do that in college football. Like you could take a 250-yard drive and hit it 50 yards and still get points at Topgolf. You can't do that in a Division I football game.
No. So I just reiterate, of course, John Hold and Nico can kick the ball. I mean, they're going to impress you if you walk over there on August 15th. But it's just, come on. I mean, Sean, you've covered these games for 25 years. The pressure can be intense.
Well, now even more so. Because in the Big 8 and the Big 12, Nebraska was a major favorite every week, where the field goals were just kind of entertainment. I mean, it wasn't like, it wasn't like live or die. Like,
you're right.
You didn't have to really cover the kicker.
Pretty much live or die every time now.
But now, like when the point spread is 3 to 7 points every week for every game other than Ohio State.
It's a great point.
I mean, every game you play outside of Colorado or outside of UTEP and Northern Iowa and Ohio State, we'll say Ohio State's going to be a bigger spread. You're going to have 9 games where the point spread's probably going to be 3 to 7 points.
Great point. It is. You're right. We covered Nebraska for a long time where field goals, you go get your popcorn at that time. Yeah.
They would just have, I mean, they had the era of the really good kickers, though, like with Chris Brown, Josh Brown, Alex Henry. But there was times where
Maher.
I mean, you have just random guys. I mean, like David Dykes and Sandro D'Angelo. I mean,
Dykes wasn't bad from 35 in, right?
Jordan Congdon.
Oh, I was thinking of Congdon. That's who I was thinking. I mixed up Dykes and Congdon. Congdon was a good kicker, just didn't have a long leg. I mean, but you're right. You're right. Sean, it's a great discussion.